So about a leading US solar company open for business in Australia from today.
The announcement comes just one day before the government releases its discussion paper on a carbon emissions trading scheme. Most interesting is that the technology was invented here, but it took funding from the US to make it a reality.
Checked in earlier with Austra's Australian Chief Executive Bob Matthews, and we began by asking just how the technology differs from what's already in use.
The technology is definitely different to the solar technology that you would normally see on the rooftops of homes. So we're not in that PV space, not in that domestic space. We're at the utility scale end of the market.
And how cost effective is it? Because it's often known to be quite an expensive alternative.
Well, in the US we're already competitive with gas, so what's happening, of course, is the cost of fossil fuels are increasing quite considerably, and of course the cost of our technologies and other renewable technologies is decreasing very quickly, so there's a crossover point coming very, very fast.
What kind of interest have you had here in Australia to build and provide solar thermal power?
Well, I've been absolutely inundated with inquiries for solar plants right across the country, from government, utilities, the mining industry, councils. It's very frantic times at the moment, a lot of interest.
I know that the Australian state premiers, we saw John Brumby and Queensland Premier Anna Bligh, also the New South Wales Climate Change Minister Verity Firth, all recently visiting the Ausra, the new factory in Las Vegas. What came out of their visit?
Well, there was intense interest from the state premiers, and we were pleased that they came over to have a look at our technology. Essentially, what we're doing in Las Vegas is we have a very sophisticated robotics facility that allows us to automatically produce these huge mirror arrays that are required for our solar farms. And just to give you an example, we have a facility in Liddell, New South Wales, where we build these arrays at the rate of one of those a day. In the US we're doing that at the rate of one of those a minute, every 8 minutes, I apologise, every 8 minutes, so it's very, very fast.
So what stage, you just mentioned the New South Wales plant there, what stage is Ausra's development at in Australia?
Well, that plant is actually being commissioned, so we are producing steam. The steam, of course, goes into the power-fired station to spin the turbine and produce electricity. So we're actually producing steam now. We have a 7 megawatt plant up and running as we speak.
Just going back to, I guess, the technology, just how it would work, the panels, do they take up a large area of land?
Well, they do, in as much as these, as I said, are not small mirrors as such. They require a fair degree of flat land, arid land, usually in the desert, as we're doing in Arizona. We're building a plant in the US at the moment. It's 177 megawatts for PG&E. Now that takes up an area of around about 2.5 kilometres by 2.5 kilometres square.
Would transmission be an issue? I guess, I mean, the panels obviously need to be built ostensibly, I'd imagine, in inland areas, yet we need to get the power to the major population centres which are on the coastline.
Well, that's correct, but there are a number of possibilities here. One, of course, is to do what we're doing already at the Liddell Power Station, and that's where we put a solar farm basically directly on the back door of a coal-fired power station. We produce steam. They use that steam to produce electricity. It means they don't have to burn as much coal. So, of course, the infrastructure exists. There's no issues with transmission. And obviously, other than that, it makes sense to be able to build these plants in locations that are able to be connected to the national grid.
What kind of capacity can solar thermal power provide? I know the founder, Dr. David Mills, I think was quoted saying that solar thermal energy could generate almost all of the US energy needs within 20 years.
Well, it's a very scalable technology, and it's very true. We're building plants in the US that can power entire cities. So the opportunity to be able to produce a plant that can power tens of millions of people is very real and doable today.